Hello, everyone. On a Wednesday, you're probably like, what's going on here? So thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this not planned. But when things happen that impact our community, I don't sit on it. I do go live. So this is a very special Kayla Unfiltered. And yes, we are still on for our regular show that's happening tomorrow night at 7 p.m. But tonight, I couldn't wait. I didn't want to tie it into tomorrow night. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of what's going on, especially what happened on Monday night at Kitchener Council. And that it doesn't just affect landlords and tenants. It actually affects every resident of Kitchener. So we're going to be talking about the renoviction licensing and what happened. I've been very quiet. I never even posted a picture because a lot of information came from that meeting, a lot of support from our landlords. So we're going to talk about that. I'm definitely, and this is why I'm so fired up, I want to be talking about the administrative penalty system. This is what I just dealt with today, because as most of you know, that I was a part of CTV and Cambridge Today. We were talking about the snow removal of Cambridge, finding a landlord almost $700 for less than 5 centimeters of snow on the ground. And there is a process now because of administrative penalty system. If you want to dispute this, you have to go through this procedure. So I want to get into what that is, my experience, and how it's a hidden trap that many people are not seeing yet, but they will. But this time, I don't want to be, getting into a total, complaining process of it. But these are going to be, lessons that we can learn from, especially my own dispute. But we also want to talk about this third party, this administrative penalty, so-called third party. So we're going to get into this tonight. I'm really honored to be joined by the Cambridge Ward 1 City Councillor Helen Shwery, along with our returning guest that has been on before, who knows the rules and the process. And if he doesn't, he goes digging. So he isn't afraid to get up that information for us. So I'm fired up. I got a lot to say. And I just want to hear from you and your experience as well, your questions, your thoughts. This is Kayla Unfiltered. Let's get into it. Thank you so much, Exit. Thank you so much, Helen. Helen, I know that you wear a city councillor hat of Cambridge. I think I just wanted you on while me and Exit really talk about that administrative penalty system that the city of Cambridge and many municipalities across Ontario have implemented into their system. Exit's got some information that he's going to share with you and also share with me for the first time, because he's been following this journey for quite some time. But I'm just glad that you're here to listen to it. If you want to pipe up and say something about it, you totally can. But I know you have a city councillor hat as well. So I don't want to put you in any predicament. And of course, you're a landlord in Kitchener. So you were there on Monday night. You delegated the night before, just bringing some common sense as a taxpayer of that city. So we're going to get really into what that looks like. So I'll start off, guys. This is what has happened. So as most of you know, we definitely, I disputed this charge that I was charged almost $700. It went through an administrative penalty system today. I got to sit in front of a hearing officer who identified himself as a hearing officer. We had the city lawyer that was on the call as well, and someone of the administrative system from the city as well on this call, including myself. I got to open up because obviously it's me disputing it. I've uploaded about 32 documents for my evidence. And then we got the city, they had about over 90 for their evidence, a lot of just communication back and forth. I said to the individual regarding my case, I said it was actively snowing when I got a notice. I said it actually was snowing on the 14th. So there's no proof that the city can state that I didn't clear the snow before it snowed again. I like to indicate that on the city website, there's a program for people who are, if you're a senior, or if you are someone with a disability, the city will come and they will actually do the snow removal for you. But they don't do it unless there's accumulation of 5 centimeters. We also talked about the city not doing proper snow removal themselves, either on the road or the sidewalk. So how they can make residents held accountable and be fined when the city's not even doing their own job and not even properly notifying the landlord, AKA myself, because you can clearly see that it's a sixplex. And knowing that there was a piece of paper, including what the city stated, that on February 5th, due to a potential system error with the notice being sent too early, I've removed the extra fees added to the original from 250 owing, and then they dropped it to 175.30. This individual, who is the hearing officer, had stated right away that he is governed by the municipality. So the municipality are supposed to be the ones who've created his rule book of what he can actually handle. He can only handle the fee. So if I got the fine of $250, that's the only thing he can address. The cost of what the city was making me pay for the contractor to come out and shovel less than 5 centimeters of snow on a sidewalk that took a representative that the city hired 2.5 hours to do less than 5 centimeters of snow. He can't touch that. He can't touch the cost that was associated to the city's actions, and that the city was the person who gave him his mandate and what he can and what he cannot do. And the city also pays this third party. And I found it a very odd experience knowing that it's going to a third party. I had to request a hearing through the city. I had to submit my disclosure to the city. I was informed of my hearing by the city. So I'm wondering, how is this really a third party? Now, again, this is on snow removal, but I want everyone to know that this system doesn't just deal with snow removal and red light tickets. It's also now going to be considering for a bylaw that you have, including updates on our bylaw in the city of Cambridge, where it stated that the property needs to be free from rodents and insects at all times. So from what this gentleman has demonstrated today, that even as a landlord and you're actively treating it, and the city can come out and they can find you, and you want to dispute this through the administrative penalty system, they're going to go, sorry, the facts remain that you still have rodents or you still have insects. So I'm fired up. I've never seen something like this in my entire life, to see that they've taken away, I would say, my fundamental right to be heard, and to have something disputed. Exit.
No, it's absolutely right. Like, I felt like you're in a Pandora's box. Like, the bylaw department just pretty much put you in like a mysterious Pandora's box, like it was trapped, like there's no way out. It wasn't open to the public. It was the appeals officer, in this case, is on the city's payroll. Yeah. And there's huge conflict of interest rules, because it's pretty much their game or the highway, and there's no appeal rights. And I strongly believe your constitutional right to justice was interfered, which you had before.
Yeah, and make the best of this. When he decided to like hear me out and then ask the city, do you have something to say? They're like, no, we updated the information. Like, there's obviously no error within the city. So like, it's up to you now. And then I talked a little bit more. And then that's when it was going on for almost to the half an hour mark. And the city lawyer spoke up and goes, sir, you've already ruled. Like, I don't see why we need to carry this on, something along the lines. He literally was dictating to the hearing officer to pretty much say, hey, you've already ruled. Let's sum this up. We're kind of done with it. So I was like, did he just really control the hearing officer? Like, I have this on video, guys. Like, I told my husband to send it to me because he's got me on this angle. But I want to be able to post it so you guys can share and hear every word that had happened through this hearing, because I think it was just a point where this is not just me. There's an individual in St. Catharines who had this cockroach situation where he was actively treating it, and now he has to go ahead and he has to apply for a judicial review, which is costly. It's going to cost about $1,000 just to have a superior court listen where you're representing yourself. Where is the justice? I don't even know how this even happened. I know the administrative penalty system in Cambridge has been new since about 2024. Exit, like, what is the next steps here? Because I just find it very confusing to know that we can't really go ahead, and I know the ombudsman, you can make a complaint to him, but the only step after that is to contact the ombudsman.
No, it would be that, but the other thing too is working with the city solicitor's office, which probably pays a bill or bylaw for this hearing officer. I'm not sure if you knew before, but you had, prior to the administrative penalty system, this was handled all at the region of Waterloo through the provincial offences court, where you had another municipality governing the hearing. So the notice was sent by Waterloo Region, not by City of Cambridge. You had the city solicitor being the prosecutor in this case, but you also had an appointed justice of the peace from the province. That was the main thing. The province appointed the justice of the peace. The region of Waterloo administered the provincial offences court. But there was a lot of appeal. You had the chance to appeal it and take it to Superior Court or Divisional Court if you did not like the Ontario Court of Justice ruling. There was a lot of, it's more costly because it was being paid by the region, but it was nonpartisan, in my opinion. You know?
Oh, you can tell right away from like, and when I said to him, I'm like, so you're telling me, like, even though the city made the error, knowing that the city didn't give me proper notice, they laid it onto the door of the rental property, knowing that they're not even held accountable, and because the public became so vocal on the city not doing their work on the snow removal, and we have one area having 75 homes like liquored with notices after our community members were complaining about it. I'm like, you just want to know, was there an error? Do I have a hardship? And he even threatened that he could actually put the fine back to $250 if he wanted to. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is just to the, I think people need to know what it is. I got an article that's going to come out with regarding the AMS program. I think it needs to be reviewed. I definitely think that they need to, if you've got a third party that's involved in there, they have to deal with more than just the fine in itself. They also should be dealing with the cost. And they definitely need to be a third party. They need to have their own individual, not be appointed by the city, not have the mandate by the city, not being paid by the city. So I'm really going to be trying to bring this also now to the provincial level, because this is ridiculous.
No, it's just that you don't
it's not even $175 or like the cost that I have to pay this contractor 2.5 hours of his work. It's like, were they like shoveling the snow with a spoon? Like, I want to know, was it a spoon that they were shoveling their snow with, or were they taking breaks in their car? Like, what was happening to result in removing that type of snow in that length of time?
And so, but the other thing too is, like, you were guilty until proven innocent. It was already that you were guilty going into this hearing, right? Yep. So it's like, in a regular court system, you would be innocent until proven guilty. You would have your say, like today in the LTB, like a tribunal, but you have rights. You can appeal it to divisional court or and have reviews. But you're stuck after this hearing officer. What's your review? You don't have a step. It's done.
Yeah. Like, it goes to the next step of expensive, like Superior Court, a review of it.
Yeah.
But, and you go to look at like the cost. I want people to think, if they're like, oh, you're not a landlord, you're a taxpayer, okay, whatever. The fact remains is that how much time and effort was communicated between me and the executives and the staff of City Hall. Then we're getting a third party and we're paying them $300 for half a day and we're paying them $600 for a full day. Plus, don't forget, we had our city lawyer here at this meeting as well. How much was his half an hour time? How much was the half an hour time for the staff member? There's so much that's being put into this, and I would love to see the calculations of what people are doing. And for the simple fact of it, guys, even though we can see how this is not fair and it's very biased, I still encourage you to dispute whatever fee or fine that you have within the city, to let them know it's not even worth it, just in my opinion. You close your ears, Helen. You didn't hear that. Okay, guys, thanks for listening to my vent. I'm sorry I didn't go the way that I wanted to go, probably because I asked for a public apology, because the way that our city needs to run, I'm just hoping that Helen's motion regarding the way that the city handled the snow and ice removal through the last season, hopefully we can include a better way of managing and communicating with property owners within the city for next season, to make sure that we're not issuing fines and getting our contractors doing expensive work without reason. So stay tuned to Helen's motion on that stuff. So we'll jump into our next topic for tonight. Oh no, she's got something to say.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to comment at the motion that I did present. I did ask him to review how bylaw acts, because in my opinion, it was unusually a tough winter. The city themselves were not able to maintain their own sidewalks and roads. And I feel it's very wrong to expect residents to do what you can't do yourself. It doesn't set a good example. And we as a city have to set an example. I had requested, but obviously it's not working, that it's just me. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, that the city just write off all those tickets that they issued to residents because of what I just said. They're not able to maintain. So it's very unfair for residents to maintain. When they ask for grace from the residents, they're not showing the same grace to the residents.
And you know what's even shocking? That I provided the evidence of staff telling other residents that we just need to show that you've made some reasonable effort. It's going to be at the discretion of bylaw. Nothing of the sort that it had to be down 0 centimeters after 30. They just said it's up to the discretion of the bylaw officers. And then they also showed evidence of a city councillor seeing pictures from a resident stating the thickness of snow that was on their sidewalk, that it became unbearable and they couldn't get it off, especially with the salt shortage. And that councillor stating reasonable effort. So was I targeted? You know, that's the biggest question that I said to them. I'm like, am I being targeted? Because I've had my tenants at this rental property for 6 years. If I seen them, I've never had them complain for this. And if they did complain about a sidewalk, wouldn't they complain about the driveway? And if it was a bypassing walker, wouldn't they complain about the both properties on each side of me who never shovel their snow? No, it wasn't. So again, it's just to the point where sometimes you just got a target on your back and they want to make you look bad. I know, Helen, I'm grateful that you have that motion, because we know that there's things that need to change, especially when there's salt shortages. We have a lot more heavy snow coming down than when we expect, knowing that this is a sidewalk that's right at the bottom of a very long, lengthy, wide driveway. It was just unrealistic for them to make those type of requirements.
I have the best solution is try to be like Mississauga and fund Widrow and sidewalk cleaning for the whole city, even cleaning.
Yes, like I can have my problems with the mayor of Mississauga trying to put the brakes on Bill 60, but she's got it right when she's offering snow removal for the entire city. And not only are they doing that, they came out on their webpage and said, hey guys, our machine, it can take up some sod. If you have some sod issues, let us know. We'll come and fix it. I'm like, how about you just say, like, thank you, city, for shoveling my snow. Like, don't worry about the sod. It's grass. It's going to grow back. So yeah, like start looking. And I heard Elmira, they do it as well. Like it's a little bit of extra money that residents are willing to pay to know that their city is going to come and do their snow removal. And any person that came out regarding this AI image and bringing it to CTV News, and it was like, we have people who have, issues and disabilities and people are walking with strollers. I'm like, where are you when your city doesn't clear the road to courts and crescents where they don't have sidewalks and they have to use the road?
The GRT bus shelters are all filled with snow.
Yeah. Like, okay. I won't bore you guys so much on that. I'm just telling you, you need to pay attention to what's happening with the administrative penalty system, what is included within that, what you could be fined for within your bylaws, and get to know it, because it seems like the administrative penalty system is going to be different in each area. So I'll try to do my best to educate you on what that looks like for each area. But this is another attack as housing providers in Ontario and giving you the runaround.
But guess what? The city can put it on your tax roll if you don't pay your APS fine.
And what happens if you don't pay your property taxes, which would be including the fine? What happens?
It goes to a tax sale. And then the city can direct your tenant to send the rent directly to them to offset what's on the tax lien.
This is why I'm talking about it tonight. It's weighing heavily on my chest. Trying to, be on council, and then knowing that this was coming up today. So that's been really quiet within my posting, but I thought that this is very much information that you need to know and that you should be sharing it with other people, not even just landlords, like other people within your city, because I know that there's people who've reached out to me, homeowners who are afraid to leave their home for the weekend because if it snows, they have their city coming to do the work and putting it to their property taxes, and they're seniors who can't afford that type of money as well. So I'm hoping to have Ron back on. He reached out to me, so he's going to be able to share his, because I'm still not done fighting with this yet. But
the other thing too, instead of snow, it could be lawn maintenance. They might come and say, "Oh, you cut your grass." They can put it on and send it to an APS.
yeah,
Like, property standards, like your roof is broken or something like.
and it's expensive. Like it's like anything that the city touches, like it just, you got to tack on 3 times more than what the average cost would be. Right.
And
of course, like look at the snow removal in itself. We would have paid someone like $20 just to do it. But I'm there. I'm doing it. I've been doing it for 15
They're
years.
taking jobs away from teenagers. The city is taking jobs away from like kids. Like they can be in entrepreneurship, making their own business, collecting doing 30 houses on the street, $20 each.
Well, I'm looking forward to finding out the income. Where did the money collect it from all this stuff goes? Because I know they did bring in quite a bit of money beforehand. So doing a lot more digging. I'll keep you reporting on there. I know we don't have Helen. This girl is I swear she's like a energizing bunny. She just keeps on going. Between being at council in Cambridge, the night before she was in Kitchener, always on the phone with her constituents. And obviously we have an election that's coming up in October of this year, October 26th, if I'm not mistaken there, Helen. October 26, 2026. This is where we need to start getting to know each and every councillor that you currently have in your city, who's planning to run. I want you to get to know them, not just their platform. I need you to get to know them as a person, because Helen's been absolutely fantastic. I even have been talking with my councillor, Nicholas Armetta. He's absolutely fantastic. We have a lot of changes that are happening and to roll with the economy. And I think these councillors are, like Kitchener, trying to take over responsibilities that are not even theirs, right? So I got some videos that I'm going to be showing to you guys later, but I want to give you a little bit of a breakdown, and then Helen and Exit and I are going to go into it, each slide pick by pick. First, before I do that, I want to give you guys a picture of what our landlords walked into or were able to see at council last night. So here's a picture of all those people. I'm not too sure if you can see it, but all the ones in the red, everyone beyond the gentleman on the left-hand side here. This is tenant union. This is tenant Acorn representatives. They filled up quite a bit in the beginning, and at the end it was quite empty from them. But that is the support that tenants have. That when they are trying to implement rules like renoviction bylaws in the city. Now, that said, I've never felt so supported through all my years of advocacy than I did last night or on Monday night. We had our landlords all over, from tuning in from Zoom. They were doing written submissions. We had about 13 to 14 of us that we were delegating, and I believe from the communication from some of the councillors is that they didn't get, or the bylaw got amended to where they were trying to make landlords pay for compensation for the tenants moving, as well as the tenants rental rate. So the difference between rental rate, and because the landlords were there advocating, we were heard. And Danielle bringing, her people to delegate. We also had CBC doing a great piece regarding landlords actually being there and being heard. And they're going to be on a radio show now with CBC tomorrow talking about the renoviction licensing. So thank you so much for everyone who showed up. I know that it sparked such a huge spark in them to continue advocating. And Danielle, Kayla, one of our Mo from KW Property Management. We had our 2 polls there. We have Michael who did really, really well. Darlene, Kaleem, I can't thank you guys enough. And I don't want to, I probably left more people out. I don't want to discredit, but thank you so much for coming out. I'll give you guys a little bit of a education of what kind of information that I was trying to school these elected officials on before they made this final decision to introduce a renoviction license in Kitchener. So I started off with asking the question, what are we solving? In all of Ontario, there is 941 bad faith applications filed at the Landlord and Tenant Board. And that means that they're just filed. That doesn't mean that they were punished. They don't mean that they were caught doing a bad faith eviction. But that's what this bylaw was supposed to create, is to crack down on bad faith eviction. I found that it actually went into, they were stopping landlords from trying to actually do their eviction period just for renovations. It was to discourage them from doing a eviction for just to simplify their renovictions. We educated them that there was about over 70% of the rental housing supply that is owned by small landlords. It was showing this is a mixture between the corporate landlords, but I explained to them that there is corporate landlords that are still small landlords. They just did it for tax purposes. And that the small landlords are going to be all painted with the same brush on this. We also talked about how it was really about safety driven, and that we don't want to have to evict a tenant to allow them to move back in at the same rate, and that it would slow down the process for landlords to apply to the landlord tenant board. Like, we don't even know what the time frame it would be for the city to issue their licensing that was on there. We talked about the tenant protection, and I think Exit can probably get into this too with the Residential and Tenancy Act and the Landlord and Tenant Board and the legal aid. Could you can you recap the member who was a part of the tenant advocacy group that was there, not Acorn, but the gentleman?
And he said that landlords had access to legal aid as well through the Landlord Self-Help Center, but that's not true. We don't have landlord duty council.
And what did he say about the fact that we had our government pays for him to represent tenants? It's like he told council that landlords have free representation, but then he said, like, yeah, I'm paid for 100% by.
He's paid by Legal Aid Ontario, which is funded through the Attorney General of Ontario, which the LTV is under.
And then now we also have the fact that a lot of the tenants and the councillors there, which is Debbie Chapman, they all and Jason, I have a picture of him here. I'm going to be putting this into the chat here, but the AI tools that are available to educate tenants on their rights so that they don't have to move out. We explain that tenants do not have to move out. They have to get an order from the board. They have to have the sheriff's department issue an order. This is how the provincial process runs. Why are we creating a duplication of service that already exists at the Landlord and Tenant Board? Helen, what do you think about the taxpayers who are going to be paying approximately $400,000 to implement this type of program in the city of Kitchener?
Well, I have a rental property there, and I know I told them already when I delegated to the finance committee that we're not very happy. They're going after such a small portion, and the people there that Acorn brought regarding the Frederick Street property, they were never given an eviction notice by the Landlord and Tenant Board. So very unhappy. It was disappointing to me, also as a councillor, because when these kind of things come to council, to me, it's just virtue signaling. It's duplicating work and spending taxpayer money on something that already exists. But honestly, how I feel, it's election year. And sometimes certain councillors will kowtow to do whatever to maybe just get votes. And this bothers me. Right now, for example, bylaw is so busy, they can't even respond to certain requests. And bylaw right now is not even proactive, they're reactive. So now they're adding more responsibility at a higher cost. So I both as a councillor, I see it, and it bothers me when I see that in Cambridge. And I hope this never comes to Cambridge. I'll fight it tooth and nail as long as I can. but also as a taxpayer. Now I'm terrified if something happens and I have to now do an N13 because, a roof, or I can't get heat. I have to do a replacement of whatever. And I can't do it with the tenants because I can't provide them their basic services to do the work. It terrifies me because it's going to be so expensive. I have to now pay the city. And then I still have to do everything financially and pay the province. It's just adding more cost. And I think a lot of them don't even realize I'm renewing my mortgage now, and my payments are going to increase just because the interest rate's gone up. It increases when the property taxes go up way higher in most cases than you're allowed to increase the rent. So there's so many costs. And then when I hear, like, for example, the advocates for the tenants saying, well, renoviction, I mean, if you have to renovate and do that's the cost of doing business. We realize that, and all the landlords, we accept that, but we have no help if a tenant decides not to pay. Nobody is there to help us. And to say go after them, well, it's very difficult because many times they leave. They don't give you, hey, a forwarding address in case you want to keep coming after me. And you can't go to small claims court if you don't even know where these people live. So it was very disappointing that night. Now, there are some very great counselors at City of Cambridge, a Kitchener Council. They spoke very well, very articulate. They were the leaders there, and I really appreciate what they had to say. Unfortunately, the bylaw still passed. But I also want to say, when I see stuff like this and stuff that's going on at different councils or region, sometimes mismanagement of their powers,
Yeah.
I can understand now why the province is coming in and saying enough is enough. We have to take over. I don't like it. It's not democratic, but I understand.
Well, I just posted, you mentioned those counselors who were like really well spoken and seeing it from a bigger picture of taxpayers versus trying to kowtow to the tenant interest groups. So I did post their names there, but I am going to be sharing the list of members who obviously wanted to kowtow, in my personal opinion, to the tenants. And that is these are the ones who were on the tenant side, even though we prevented facts, we showed them how it's going to impact the tenants, but they still wanted to make themselves look good to them to see that they can get all those votes. You've seen the picture that I initially showed. You see all the tenants there. Like, are you going to want to appeal to the landlords that are there, or you want to try to appeal to the tenants? And this is why it's so important not to have municipal government involved in housing. It's such a huge issue. It's a huge crisis. And we're seeing our elected officials at the municipal level play to that. They're using it to self-interest, to further their goals. So this is the group of people who I've watched them in detail. I've watched their comments, and for some reason, and I will share the link as well on YouTube to where you can watch this entire council meeting and what these elected officials actually said, because they believe that the small landlords are going to be like a social agency for the government, because they're like, well, we have these people and then we have to watch out for these. Like, that is not the small private landlord's obligation to be a social agency and do this type of support. Your job is to advocate for them at the provincial level. But the one counselor, I believe her name was Margaret, if I'm not mistaken, I could be, but she talked about how they communicate with the province, but they don't get back to her. They don't get back to her. I'm like, oh my God, that means you're not doing it right, lady. Like, let's be real here.
No.
What I wanted to say also, when listening to two long nights, is it was very evident to me that most of the councillors had not gone to the Landlord and Tenant Board website, which clearly, to me, as a landlord, I want to make sure, what are my rights? What is the tenant's rights? So I'm doing the right thing. They did not read the Residential Tenancy Act by some of the comments I heard. So imposing something without even understanding why you're imposing it to help a group that has technically not been evicted, maybe the landlord tried, but the landlord and tenant board did not. So they're putting in place rules to protect, to penalize most of the good tenants and trying to catch that one bad tenant who still doesn't listen. And you can't regulate like people, these bad faith, because they're going to do it. They're going under the radar. They're doing things that they illegally. And, if we could regulate all the bad people, we have regulations for hard drugs. Does that stop the hard drugs? No, it still comes in. So it's kind of maybe not a good example, but kind of an example I have.
No, it's a perfect example. Like they want to paint everybody with the same brush. They knew facts just of how much support the tenants can get. They had someone who is paid for by the government saying that we support tenants and we help tenants. They also know we brought them, like the tenants can dispute this up to 2 years, and that if a landlord is caught in bad faith, they're rewarding tenants 1 year of compensation. They're fining the landlords, and I showed them examples, and I'll get into the slides here, but go ahead, Exa.
If the one thing going back to the AMP system, APS, is that in that case, you actually go to the provincial offenses court and get heard in front of a justice of a peace. And so I know there was a question that was asked to you, who gets this money? It goes back to the region because it's a provincial offense. So the $100,000 that landlord got fined in Hamilton goes back to the city indirectly.
Oh, so that I think that okay, hold that thought, because I got the story. I want to be able to give the people the story on that one. Yeah. So we explained to them very, very quickly, and this is why it's nice to kind of like take it slow with you guys tonight. So this is the stats. This is like from the recent stats from the Landlord and Tenant Board, understanding like the landlords are not they make these counselors, the ones that you see there between Jason and Christine and Margaret, and Debbie. They think that landlords are these gritty little landlords and that we are the ones abusing them. Meanwhile, they turned a blind eye to the fact that we have these many landlord applications and over 40,000 of those are non-payment of rent. That was the blind side where they didn't care about what the landlords had to say there, and they were voting for this bylaw. The only thing I can give them credit on, some of them I didn't even see exactly, but they didn't order more compensation because they know we have to give compensation to the tenants. And this is where they keep asking staff, like, what would grant like an eviction? And they asked it to the tenant union there too. It's like, dude, how about the fact that you got water coming in, or they won't have a kitchen, or they won't have a bathroom?
But one thing I kind of found is the manager of licensing was answering stuff as acting as the city solicitor. Like her answers were not confident, stating, well, we don't know if this violates the Municipal Act, or we don't know if we have the legislation. Sort of like very vague answers from, I don't know who it was on the bench, from staff. Yeah. But
they say
she was not the city solicitor.
They said it hasn't been challenged. And I'm like, well, the landlords are not going to want to be put on the hook for legal. I want you to fight me with my own money. Like you're going to fight, the city's going to fight me with taxpayers' money. Like how do you expect our landlords to want to challenge this in the courts? Now, mind you, I would tell you that I did, bring this attention right away Tuesday morning to the provincial government, because through that meeting, and I put the link, and I really encourage you to get into around like the 50, maybe like the 40 minute mark of this and watch it, because this is important for you to understand like who these players are and what they're saying, because these city councillors were really trying to make the province look bad. And I can't say all of them. I can just say the last group of councillors just reported there. And I'm like, you guys need to be concerned that they're telling people that you're not doing anything. Meanwhile, they haven't and did Bill 97, but it has to take time to have it proclaimed in. But they just want to say, hey, let's hopefully the council or the province is going to come at us because we're introducing this. And I hate the fact that they got, guess what? We actually like Waterloo did it, and Toronto. And like if Waterloo jumped off a bridge, why should Kitchener jump off a bridge too? Like it's just mind-boggling how some of these councillors actually think.
How much money did the province pay the Landlord and Tenant Board recently to upgrade their system? And from what I'm hearing, response times have dropped drastically.
Oh my God.
Can we share that?
It was,
Oh,
I got
I know they spent $25 million on their new portal, their Salesforce portal that they built with PwC.
We got some, like, this is the stuff. I'm just going to go here quickly, guys, because I was trying to paint a pretty picture for our elected officials there. Impact on tenants, taxpayers. My God, where is it? I think I did the wrong slides for you. But we have over our budget for our landlord and tenant board. I'm going to get this. There we go. The landlord and tenant board, or the tribunal system, receives approximately $102.1 million to operate the tribunal system. The landlord and tenant board eats up most of that budget, and it's almost $70 million from what I'm able to gather from the landlord and tenant board, not including the cost that taxpayers pay $1.8 million to have the rental housing enforcement unit to oversee issues within the rental landscape as well. And now we have Kitchener starting off with 305 as the initial startup, talking about it's now going to be close to $500,000 because of the full-time employees that they're going to have to hire to deal with the program. And I want to give you guys a bigger understanding for this program is that you're going to hire a bunch of people, but this program's only going to work is if the tenants complain to the city. Because they said in these council meetings that, yes, whatever the city decides, yes or no, if you have the license, you have our blessing, the landlord still has the possibility of going to the province to ask for an eviction. That said, if you don't go to the city to get your license, now and your tenant complains, now we have a possibility of being fined. And that fine could be dealt with again through the administrative penalty system that you would be in contradicting with. So that's why I was wanting to talk about the AMPS program. I wanted you to see what this program does because we have to follow the rules and procedures. We have to show proof that the tenants need to vacate at the provincial level. And I've showed them different situations where there was a case in Hamilton where the landlord got charged $100,000. And he got charged $100,000 because he got fined by the rental housing enforcement unit for $25,000 per tenant. So even with Bill 97 not being proclaimed, because of the individual tenants that were inside of that home that got impacted because the landlord didn't offer the unit back to the tenant on the same rate, that's why they got fined. And they had 2 weeks to pay that fine. And now it's going to gain interest. I also talked to council regarding the other situation in London, where the landlord went through their licensing program. He went to the province and the province denied the eviction because the landlord didn't provide the compensation that was required of them through this program. That said, at Bill 60, they're talking about removing some of the compensation that landlords are required to give tenants because they know it's a financial hardship to the landlords as well. And these counselors still showed these counselors still showed to support spending taxpayer dollars on a system to address an issue that doesn't even exist. We're talking 34 applications in over 5 years in Waterloo. Ottawa's actually trying to do this as well on April 22nd. At 9:00 in the morning. It's spreading like a wildfire and I can't even say it's a cash grab. I can't even say it's a cash grab because they're not going to make the money back for that $650 fee per unit. It's actually going to cost the tax. And I've said this to many people before. What's the number one growing job creation that you have? Like the number one growing job creation is government jobs. I think they're doing this just to create government jobs. And for the mayor of Kitchener, our landlords loved being able to invest in Kitchener. They preferred Kitchener over Cambridge, over Waterloo, every single time. I've been doing this business for 15 years. And for him to say, we've been doing this far too long, we need to do something. Shame on you, Barry. Shame on you. You supported these landlords when they had their landlords association there. You became a very investor friendly, and because in an election year, you want to kowtow to tenants. You want them to stop you, stop housing providers from providing housing. Like, these are the key factors here. And I want to highlight again, these counselors, these ones who have common sense. These people, I'm telling you, if you're having friends and you have a realtor or a property manager, whoever you know in Kitchener for the next election, please vote these people in. It's not that the fact that they looked at this as a landlord lens. I like them because they looked at it as a taxpayer lens. And they seen that there's so many challenges that are going to come to that city with everything in our industry, that they're going to be able to see, whoa, like maybe we should put this to budget. And that's all they wanted to do. They wanted to just put it over to budget to make sure that we can fund a program. And unfortunately, these people are like, I don't care. I got taxpayer money. I got your money. I just want the votes right now because I need to get elected back in. So I need you guys to know this information. I think it's important for us to understand how things work. I think it's sad and it's unfortunate. And again, I'm going to try to get the province to say, hey guys, like, you really need to take this by the horns, because we can't allow municipal government to start overstepping the way they have been. And, you know, even with Bill 60, we're so proud of Bill 60 and what happened, and we're waking up the province, but now we're waking up this giant.
It's like they operate like the boy who cries wolf. They beg for money and saying that they're not getting funded, and it's like they want the province's help. And some municipalities, they're downloaded services from the province to administer, and they don't even do a great job. They run through the provincial money like it's like an ATM. Like, we operate like Minnesota.
Yeah.
So don't like, they need to stay in their lane on the 401 and the collectors, and the province needs to stay in their lane on the express lane. We don't intertwine.
Oh, like,
for Kitchener, stay on Highway 8. That's it.
And it's true. Like, you look, and I sent that to the message on Tuesday to the province. I'm like, dude, they're asking more money from you. I'm like, they're abusing it. They're not doing a good job with it. Like, until you have a full audit it and showing where the money's going, what results are you getting from that money?
Some municipalities give money to Acorn.
Yeah.
Tenant. If that guy said that they get funded by the province for tenant support, why are some municipalities funding tenant advocacy and tenant support legal centers?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I was in a certain meeting a while back, and they were there, and they said, I guess they exist to educate tenants. Well, all the education, I feel, if you are smart enough to rent an apartment, write a check, complain, you should be smart enough to read all the tenant, all their rights on the landlord and tenant board site. It's not difficult to find. It's easy to read. So, and also, like I said, the N13 has all the information that they need. So I'm not sure why taxpayers are funding this group when they're duplicating again what the landlord and tenant board does.
And the tenants get a copy of these rates as part of their Ontario standard lease. It's at the back as an appendix that directs them to the landlord tenant board.
I've told them at council, I said, we're looking at, like, they give an N13 notice to the tenant. It's just a notice. It's not an eviction. You take that notice, even if the tenant went to the landlord and tenant board and they actually issued the eviction, the tenant applies for a stay. Now you got to wait another 2 months to get a hearing. Then they get their eviction order again and they apply for a review. And then they wait 2 months again to get that review. And guess what? Now they don't like that answer. Then they go to Supreme Court. Like, you give the tenants, they don't have to leave. Why are we spending our taxpayers' money so foolishly in this way?
The other thing too is you don't have those many rights in the AMPS program.
No. No, and literally, like, you got, oh, I'm going to give you 60 days to pay the $175, but still, I also think I have to pay for this contractor, who literally was probably doing absolutely nothing, and I got to pay for his. How come I can't challenge how I paid for that contractor? So
Who,
again, you
I
wonder
would
more
ask for the procurement
landlords are
contract.
in Ontario.
I would
No,
ask for the procurement contract through FOI, through the city clerk. How
say that
much they're
again.
getting. Put out an FOI through the city clerk in Cambridge to get what their contractor is for snow removal. I'll tell you the
Oh,
rate.
I definitely have that. I think the bill was in their evidence package. I can get the contractor information.
Wow.
But this is where we have to understand, like, when you have landlords who are trying to provide housing, you have the province having issues, but still trying to address those issues. But now you have this level of stupidity inside of government. It's just like, it's mind boggling. But I can say that our landlords that showed up there who never delegated at all in their life, they did fantastic, absolutely fantastic. They didn't even know how to do it. So I'm like, the entire morning on Monday, I was like, people are, helping me guide them through the process of delegating, submitting written recommendations, and giving them some information about how damaging this is going to be for them. It was a lot of effort, but I'm so proud of everyone, especially those three ladies that got quoted by CBC in their article. They're going to be on the radio tomorrow. Don't stop. I know I wanted to stop, and I said to people, like, oh, if you're not going to be at this council meeting, like, I quit. Like, I'm done. If I don't got you guys behind me, like, how are we supposed to get ahead? And I think I felt a little bit comfortable speaking on Monday night because of the landlords behind me. And it sucks to see how intimidating it can be there, especially with the Tenant Acorn, who are fully funded. I swear they must have gotten a bus. Like, how do you get that many people unless you're booking a bus to pick these people up? But I need you guys to you got your investor hats on, you're entrepreneurs, you know the importance of your business. I need you to advocate against municipal, provincial bylaws. I need you to pay attention to these councillors. There's going to be a change. There's going to be efforts from community members trying to get these people reelected again. Don't do these ones. Don't do these ones. I need you to support these ones. In my personal humble opinion, especially Helen. We got Helen in Cambridge. We actually next week we have a special guest. We actually have the Councillor of London, someone who is just, again, common sense, talking the way they should, supporting their residents, and making sure that they're holding the other elected officials accountable. Because I think more needs to be done, because it's sad to see that we're kind of going through like this rough patch of life. Like, our mortgages are being renewed, insurance is going to go up, utilities are going up, and then we see wasteful spending.
Don't forget your water bill.
Everything, and that's going to be another episode on Cambridge water billing issues, so don't get me started on that one yet. But these are different ways for us to kind of stay connected for our thing. I'm going to put a link. This is a registration link for our free registration. I need to know where you are, where your rental properties are, so that I can help navigate what's happening in that area, get you guys informed a little bit quicker, so that we can have a turnout like we did at Kitchener Council. So I'm pushing that in the link, and hopefully you guys can register as a member, so that we can stay connected and not worry about social media. Helen, I don't know how I'm supposed to thank you for doing what you do. Like, everyone was like, Kayla, I think you should be a counselor. I'm like, no, ever. Like, it takes a special, kind-hearted individual like yourself to want to do what you do, because you really do it for the people. And you have an event coming up, don't you, for your constituents in Ward 1?
I sure do. It's my town hall, April 30th. Doors open at 6. The event starts at 6:30. It's at Four Fathers in their Ivy Loft. It's a convention. I mean, it's a space. I don't know what to call it now. But like, people have weddings there. So in their upper it's like a chamber up there, and it's beautiful. And I'm supplying all the appetizers, and they have amazing food at Four Fathers. And but the most amazing thing is talking to the residents, getting information. You know, what do they think is the most important thing they want their tax dollars spent on? Is it water? Is it roads? And is it? They also want a reduction in taxes. What are those some big issues? So we're going to talk about that. So when I'm running, I know what I need to fight the hardest. I already think I know. Road safety is always a big thing. They want taxes lower. They don't like, we're not even using the water. Like, our water consumption has gone down, but our water rates are still going up. And they're talking about sewage rates and all this stuff. So we're going to talk about all of it because I want to hear what residents have to say.
I also think Cambridge should stop bailing out the regional cities of Kitchener and Waterloo. They're picking up a big share of the regional role.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. I tried to get some money back for the ION that Cambridge spent, the 60 million, towards Kitchener and Waterloo's capital cost to build theirs, because they're not going to be funding ours. But unfortunately, that vote did not pass at our council. So.
Oh my God. Well, I put the link to your event there, Helen, in the chat for anyone who's watching live or whoever's watching in the replay. It's April 30. What's the cutoff time frame for them to register?
Well, by this week. They have to register by this week because we need numbers.
Of course.
So it's, coming close.
I know she's doing, and guys, I want to let you know she's doing this out of her own pocket. She's doing it out of her own pocket. She's not getting any funding for bringing you guys together. And I've been watching and paying attention to council in Cambridge for many, many years. And this is a councillor who truly cares about her constituents. And I really hope that we can support her, because she really does care about her community and she cares about the city as a whole. And I'm telling you, she's smart as a whip. Like, that girl reads the agenda. She knows numbers. She knows budget. Like, there's so many counselors that just look at the feeling and who's watching. Is media gonna grab it? This girl knows what needs to get done, because she's got a smart head on her shoulders, and Cambridge is lucky to have her.
Oh, thank you, Kayla. I just love Ward 1 people. I actually like all of Cambridge because I like you. So on the board, but no, I love the constituents. I have a really soft heart for them, and I'd like all of Cambridge to be prosperous, all the people to be prosperous, and no one to have to fight and work hard and just to make ends meet. So by lowering our taxes, that's a little help for them.
And stop funding Kitchener.
Yeah. You think I want to? I'm one vote. So we need to get good counselors.
And you know what? Like, I see like these things that like the city posts on their website is like, oh, if you have an event that you want to do as a community, like you could potentially get $2,500 to host an event. And it's like, we are in a crisis in our country. We should not be pissing out money to give people to have a fun night. Like, we're lucky if people got food on the table. Like, let's be real. And
some people can't even afford probably the gas if they live too far to come to an event. And it does send certain ones. I know they want to bring everybody together, but when you're struggling and you're not sure, what bill do I pay, or do I feed my children? What do I do? You're not in the mood for an event. So we need to take care and not continually abuse and spend taxpayers' money on nice to haves when we can't even barely afford the need to haves.
Well said. I think it's about we got to focus on our needs, not our wants. I think everyone wants everything fun and to break up our day.
Yeah. The other thing too, I'm worried about for the city of Cambridge is the property values. Like, our assessment rolls have been frozen since 2016, Kayla. So I know a lot of commercial landlords are advocating to the province to lower their assessment rolls. And so if that's going to happen, it's the residential roll is going to be picked up, and you're going to have, I know the city continues to pass their same budget and the mill rate changes, but that's also a dramatic impact too, because our property values have gone down, and it might impact our impact assessment rolls that has a direct correlation with the city budget.
Dude, you leave us on a cliffhanger like that right before the end of the show. Come on, dude.
Well, the thing is, if the cities want to continue saying that the province doesn't give them money, well, start collecting it by administering programs that they are responsible for.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I find it so odd that Helen is like the ideal counselor, and I would love to see that woman run for mayor one day. Same thing like Scott Davey and like Dave, like those guys out there, like they should really consider the bid for mayor. But I'm like, like, do you lose it and we lose a good voice? And I'm also questioning like some of the counselors that declared a conflict of interest on this vote in Kitchener as well, because like unless they have like an N13 kind of active, like they really needed to been able to vote for that on that renoviction licensing, because it impacted almost $500,000 for a program against their constituents.
Yeah, and if they had to declare a conflict of interest because they were landlords, then anybody there maybe who is renting should declare the same conflict. So if you as a landlord can't vote, neither, if that integrity commissioner said that, neither should a renter, a tenant.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I also wanted to bring up, Kayla, I don't know if you know, the province is going to be appointing the regional chair for the next municipal election for Region of Waterloo. So
I heard it's all over TikTok. Oh my God, this is not right. It's not democratic. I'm like,
and that regional chair will have strong regional chairs. So is that going to be the province is going to look after us and make sure that the municipalities, including the regional municipalities, stays in their lane?
Probably. I would think that could be a reason, because like I said before, when I believe when the region or a city or municipality is not doing their job, or perhaps staying in their lane, or look at what happened with the water, that to me, whether you're a mayor or whether you're regional chair, you're basically commander in chief, and you need to be on top of what's going on in your city. And that's why I feel strongly when even people run for mayor or those positions, if you don't qualify to be the head of a corporation, but you qualify to be a mayor or a regional chair, that, you're running a huge corporation. You need to know what's going on in your corporation. You need to understand finance. You need to understand planning. You need to understand it all. So those are the people that really should be in charge. So if they're not doing their job, and I agree it's not democratic to put a regional chair, but if a chair or mayor or whatever are not doing their job, I feel that's probably when a province feels the need to step in. So they're doing it for efficiency, for financial efficiency as well. So we'll see what happens. And I know people are not happy, but they're not happy now. So maybe this is something new that the province wants to try.
We're never going to make everyone happy. And that's what people have to kind of see. Like, you don't always like hate on their moves of what they're doing, even with the school trustees that are happening. But that said, Helen, I don't think we gave you credit because I haven't had you on here to talk about how you were the counselor who brought forward a motion to the city of Cambridge, getting them to reconsider having them force landlords to pay for the tenants' delinquent utility bills from their rental properties. And Helen brought this forward to council. Staff came back with a big price tag of $1 million. And instead of voting on something that we knew was, totally inflated, Helen, again, with her financial hat, is like, hold on, let's bring the landlords and the homeowners and the tenants together and let's think of a way for us to look for some efficiencies. So she suggested a task force. So that's going to come out regarding what that task force did, what came about it. I told you I was on it. And honestly, I'll leave you as this, that it was a waste of my time, unfortunately. And I hate to say that because I really thought my voice was really counting, sitting on city committees and being a part of the Affordable Housing Reserve Working Group. But this is why it's so important to have proper leadership in our communities, and don't go with the whoever has a better sign, whoever has a name recognition. I want you to join every local community group that you have, and pay attention to other residents' concerns, and pay attention to who they're actually supporting. But understand that there, in my opinion, and I don't need any comment, is that there is almost like an organization of community members who do congregate together, just to kind of push their candidate of choice. Just like I'm telling you, hey, these people have, great ideas. They're looking at us as a taxpayer. They're doing the same thing on the nonprofit NDP level, if you get my drift. So be very careful on who we're voting for, because most people like to pay attention to government at federal or provincial level. And I think the most important level of government that we should be looking at is municipal. And that is because they are dealing with the money that gets passed down. And I've always said, I'm not too sure if the housing crisis would exist today if we had proper regional and municipal government managing it properly. Yeah. But I've kept you guys long enough. We are way over time, but this is what happens when you have Exit, and we have a special guest, Helen, that's joining us. I hope you found this information beneficial. We're going to share it over into our group now on my personal page, and I encourage you to comment right onto the Ontario Landlords Watch YouTube link. We are going to be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock. This is with a formal paralegal. He's going to be listening and guiding one of our anonymous landlords who have dealt with a professional tenant from hell, who did not only go through the landlord and tenant board to avoid eviction for non-payment of rent, but he's taken it a little bit further and making complaints regarding human rights. So we want to be able to give you some information and direction on what this does and how it can delay, and how to prepare so it doesn't happen to you, and what to do if it does happen to you, because landlord and tenant board doesn't like hearing human rights. So a lot of things get their brakes put on. So we're going to talk about that with our anonymous landlord. And we're excited to bring that to you. Exit, do you have any tidbits, any advice, anything that you want our viewers to listen to before we start out for today?
No, I'm just like, the province needs to step in and see how the municipalities are spending their dollars. I know there's probably going to be some more shed lights coming soon in another municipality, but this AMPS program, I think it's taking away our fundamental chartered right. So I think, Kayla, you should look to see if your constitutional rights are violated. You don't have access to justice.
I definitely did not feel like that today, for sure. I've never been, I was mad. I was definitely mad today. I've never, I'm usually chill. I got 4 kids. But I was very disappointed, and I felt stripped of my ability to exercise my story and my right based on this new procedure, and how the city has taken full control and didn't give me the option to really represent myself. So thank you, Exit, for being here. And thank you for digging into this with me and helping me and guiding me, because I'm telling you, he's doing a lot of work, guys, in Hamilton. And I can't wait. We got lots of stories that's happening in Hamilton, and what's happening with the Ontario works fraud that's happening. We have our own mini Apple happening in Hamilton. So I'm excited to have Exit back on. Helen, thank you for you being who you are today. What advice, what information, what do you want our viewers to know?
Well, from a municipal level,
you got two
I just wanted to say, I just echo what you said. And when I canvassed before, going door to door, I just say, you got to vote for your municipal councillor, because we affect your pocket dollars today. Whether it's the bylaw, your property tax, your water, the things that you're paying on a monthly, daily, whatever basis. So make sure you vote for somebody that reflects what you want in the city. Well
said. Now, as a landlord.
Well, as a landlord, it's tough being a landlord. But I do feel very strongly that landlords need a lot more protection. They don't have protection. I myself have lost tens of thousands of dollars because of damage from tenants, non-payment of rent, and sometimes I had to take a whole month to clean up and patch holes, and all the work that I had to do to bring the rental back to a livable standard, that I treat my property that I would want to live there. And that's how I want my tenants to live, to enjoy where they are. But when you get ones that cause so much damage and there's so much cost, no, that is not a cost of doing business. And we can't increase our rent like somebody messaged you go to a restaurant. No, restaurants can increase their fees, stores increase their fees, gas. Hey, the city increases their fees with the property taxes, but not landlords. Oh, for you, it's a cost of doing business. That's wrong.
And now, if you had the provincial government listening to you right now, what would you want them to do? What would you want them to change?
Well, they have to make the landlord and tenant board fair to both sides, and currently they're not. I feel, for me, I've been to the landlord and tenant board hearings, and it's very much biased towards the tenant. I had to give so much evidence, and they said to me, "Well, you don't be a landlord then." So that's not good talk for a government that wants more housing. So to me, it was biased. Thankfully, what was done was so grievous that they sided with me. But normally, it's always, I find it's more biased towards the tenants and the landlords. Well, hey, you should have money, and it's making us pay more money, and some of them are going under. I actually have a constituent who ended up buying 2 properties, during the time, like thought he could do well, but then he got hit by insurance, and then he got hit by some property standards, and then some tenants weren't paying. So now he's in the hole, and he is living in one and just working double just to maintain the rental. And he's trying to sell it, but it's really hard right now. So he's lost a lot of money. So there's also bad stories where landlords are losing everything, but nobody really wants to talk about that.
And they need to talk about it, because if we lose our private housing providers, our majority of housing providers in Ontario and Canada, that's going to be pressure on the taxpayer. So if you think your taxes are high now, wait until you're now dealing with the downfall of dealing with our landlords leaving the province or leaving Canada as a whole. And that's why it's so important to let our elected officials know that the landlords are leaving. We're tired of the regulations and the red tape. We're tired of other elected officials kowtowing to tenants for votes, and that they're putting a lot of pressure on us when we already have a lot to deal with. And our nonprofit housing providers have a lot to deal with as well with damage. And it makes me so mad that this renoviction licensing is about exempting them from that. Government and nonprofit housing providers be exempted from this bylaw. Just like Bill 10, they're trying to exempt nonprofit and government housing providers. So what is the real end goal here for our government? And this is why I want to have you guys on. This is why I want to talk. This is why I want to share stories. And we're going to try to create some reels, because I know, having an over an hour conversation and people are busy managing their rental units, but the fact remains is that they need us. We need to be in this type of business, because as a taxpayer, we can't afford to build, manage, maintain, and subsidize government housing. And we deserve to make sure that we hold our elected officials accountable, especially at the municipal level and regional level, because this is where it's the end. This is the end goal, where your money goes out, how you're going to be able to save it. So thank you everyone for tuning in and watching this video and sharing it to your elected officials. And if you are an elected official, please reach out. It's always about education is the key. And we always tell that to our landlords. And we got a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes that'll slowly catch you guys up. But thank you, Exit. Thank you, Helen, for coming on and sharing your thoughts and stories, because every time I talk to an elected official at the provincial level, they want to know, they want to have stories. So this is where I guide them into our Ontario Landlords Watch YouTube channel, and where I tell them where they can hear our landlords' stories and experience, and telling them our landlords are leaving unless you make some necessary changes. But we will be back again tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Ontario Landlords Watch YouTube channel. Get your questions, get your comments ready. I love seeing our members in there. And again, thank you to all of the landlords and everyone who submitted delegations and showed up to speak and stayed there until 12 o'clock on Monday night, especially Helen and Exit. They were there as well. So thank you both for being an advocate and showing the government that we do have a voice and it does matter. Thank you everyone for watching. This is Kayla Unfiltered.